the post-match thoughts from this one. I had my little spiel. I went crazy. I was talking about the moon landing and other crazy stuff. Went a bit overboard. I apologize to everyone, but just the vibe that I got from it for me personally. But I want to give you guys some time here. I'll chuck at this one first at you, Ash. What was your thoughts? I know you messaged me, bro, saying, "Hey, leave on, watch this game, bro." It's a statement game, all of that, man. Share your thoughts on the performance and what you took from it.
Yeah, I think that honestly, it is a statement game. It's a put the flag in the ground and say, hey guys, the Raiders have done that previously, and a lot of people are like, all right, they're premiership threats this year or anything like that. Again, I probably wouldn't put us, or I think that we are around abouts where the premiership threats should be, just judging on the year that is going. But from the year that started off to be where we're looking at a transition period to where a lot of people are questioning if we can even be a top 8 side this year. A lot of people, outside of Warriors fans, put us in bottom 4 wooden spoon race this year. For us to turn it around this quickly without the experience that they had of Sean Johnson, Adam Fanua-Blake and that, which we'll touch on a little bit too, but which is just absolutely incredible. And this game summarized it so much of what we have done right this year. We play so much as a team. Like every person I've come across and said, if you can name the 3 best players in this game, I reckon you get 3 different players from a lot of different people, right? And that's how good the team's playing at the moment. Like you got Aaron Clark that's stepping up in the middle. He quick playable speed that just opens up our attack at the moment, doing all the cleanup work in defense. You got James Fisher-Harris that all the behind the scenes stuff that he's doing for our boys, and it's showing our young kids that are stepping up to the level. Now talking on our young kids, bro, Dimitric's game over the weekend, incredible. Jacob Laban's first stint, absolutely incredible. Lekal Lasima scoring tries again, just looking freakish in the air as, Sam Healy, his first stint, Wade Egan goes down, he's like, yeah, right, I can do that, bruz. Honestly. And then off the back of that, bro, we've got a guy that's contending for a Dally M medal this year, and he continues to put a performance and a performance upon each other. There's no dip off. He's just continuing to add more to his game, which is the most incredible thing. No one would have even thought of this with Luke Metcalf at the start of the season. They would have thought maybe it would have took to a late mid-season before we see maybe up and down performances from him. He's been so consistent as a number 7 for us this year. So honestly, bro, 2023, running through 2023 on my channel and saying that it felt like a chapter year where we're just turning another leaf to a chapter and we're growing as a side game by game. This year's doing that exact same thing, but with the potential that it's going to continue on for more years to come. 2023 always felt like it kind of had a cap to it when we lose Sean Johnson and those sort of boys. Like, how long can we do that before our young kids step up? Can they step up? This year is like, all right, so young kids are stepping up already. And the young kids are young. So, how long can this go on for? Can we continue to do this for many years to come? And I felt like that was the first aspect of that. People worried about our defense. We got our defense sorted. People worried with our attack. 2 games in a row, bro, we're scoring over 30 points. 36 against the Rabbitohs, 40 against the Sharkies. And the Sharkies were a top 4 defensive side, before that game from memory, or around about the top 4. So, incredible, bro. Incredible.
Absolutely, bro. Chuck this. Great call there, Ash. All those thoughts. I'll chuck this back at you, Josh, man. What was your raw emotion, your thoughts, and what does this mean to you, as what we are?
Yeah. I mean, I echo a lot of what Ash did say. To me, 2023 was like lightning in a bottle. And we, caught it. Everything was right. Everything was perfect.
Great analogy.
And we just stumbled at the last, the second to last hurdle. Whereas this year, it feels like we're creating the lightning, and we're striking down all these other teams.
I like that.
With the way everyone's playing for each other, bro. It's like a cyclone, man. We are wrecking everybody. I'm on the weather tonight. If you guys didn't know, thunderstorms outside. You know how
the
weatherman. Yeah, but no, I think this week after Mitch Barnett went down against the Rabbitohs, I was going into this game going, I'm kind of glad, I'm busy. I was at a friend's birthday party. Shout out, I did watch the game the whole way through that party, but I was like, yeah, I'm glad, I'm busy, I think this might be a loss. And then as we got closer and closer and closer, I just became more and more confident. And it turned from, like, oh, I think we'll lose in a narrow one to, oh, I think we'll win in a narrow one to like, on Friday night being like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is going to be our game. And then the next morning hearing Egan was out and I was like, oh, okay, we're just going to win it by a little bit again. But like I always had thought we were going to win. And I think for me, it was coming up against AFB. I think the boys really wanted to make a statement, even like Fish as well. Like the statement that he wanted to make, and I think that must be the buzzword for this game as well. Statement, like statement. I guess that's our season, right? It's a statement, like the Warriors are coming. But Fish wanted to make a statement saying like, "Hey, look, our club made the right choice in letting you walk and bringing me over here." And so, yeah, I don't know, bro. It was such a good game. Sorry to Bjorn and Sophie for watching the game through your birthday, but I enjoyed it. Both things.
Unreal.
Yeah. So Fish has got that kind of new boyfriend energy. Like, bro, I'm the upgrade, bro. You stay looking, bro. You stay watching on the other side, bro. I got this right here. Bro. I love it, bro. Yeah, a lot of people agreeing with us in the chat. Statement performance, and look, for me again, like I was saying, I just like I said, I believed in Webby, and I believed in everything we've been doing and building to it. But that one for me was like, okay, you've like Ash said, you put the flag in the ground. You drew the line in the sand, saying this is a new chapter. We're stepping over that hill. What's that one? When Caesar walked over the Rubicon. I don't know if you knew the history. It was like he was saying when he was going into Rome. Have you heard? I listened to a few history podcasts.
I see.
When he crossed over the Rubicon, it meant that he was coming for Rome, bro. We're coming for Rome right now. You know what I mean? Coming for the NRL title. But now, look, man, let's just move. You guys summed it up perfectly, the match. Like I said for myself personally, it was a turning point. And I've read some of the comments to my video, and there's still a good majority, and I respect them. Like I said, we're going for the title, we're going for the premiership. Still, and understandably so, hold your horses. We still need to beat Storm. We need to beat the Raiders, and I get that. I just felt, for me personally, like this was like something's turned here. And even if we don't win the final or whatever, there's an attitude change or something bigger that is going to lead to success. Do you guys feel the same as me, or there's still some markers that you need to see? I'll probably check that back at you, Josh, and then I'll come back to Ash with that one after.
Yeah, to me, I thought this was the end of our turning point. I think we've been turning for a few weeks now.
Nice.
And I think it was typified by that performance. And I think, normally around this time of the year or like just before our first bye, or, before round 12, before we get into the bye season, we start falling off a little bit and things aren't quite hitting. And the performances we were throwing out, like they weren't fantastic, but we were getting the job done. And that's what we haven't done in the past. And so I think with this being the end of the turning point of like, hey, we are here, and this is who we are. This is what, like, we are coming for this premiership. And to me, like, even that Raiders game, even though we lost, still felt like we were on top, and we're dominant. We're still like a really, really good team. Like I went away from that game like disappointed that we didn't win, but like not at all like, oh, okay, that's it. I don't know if we'll be able to recover from this. Like it was straight up just back to it. Let's go. Let's keep working. And so I think, I think that was the end of our turning point. And now we're just going to start firing, and hopefully we'll, continue to fire, and these 40-10 wins will become, less of a statement and more of just the norm.
Yeah. Is that the same for you, Ash? You feeling the same way?
Yeah, similar. Like, me, I don't like to be too high or too low, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like to be kind of in the middle, right? But I think this was like, as a turning point, I think this was a turning point for me from saying that we are transitioning to where, now we're in we're in that top 8 to top 4 business now. Like we look like a side that is going to be sitting here for a long period of time, or at least challenging for a title at least around abouts this year, right? Where to start the year, as you know from me, I was always thinking that we're fighting for an 8, and I think that we can get an 8 spot. But to get into that top 6 to top 4 range would be a little bit of a stretch for me, in my opinion, to get up to that range. But very, very happy to say that, I feel like this is one of the moments where I've looked at the side, I'm like, people were worried about our defense, after that first game in Vegas. We cleaned that up, and we cleaned that up tenfold, right? We're a top 4 defensive side in the competition right now, and we're improving to become one of the best right there with the Dogs. And then off the back of that, everyone was like, well, we're a 2D attacking side. We're very structured, which we are in a sense, but that helps with our consistency. But we can't put on the points, we can't put on full field tries, stuff like that. We're starting to see it now. Like we got speed now. Like Luke Metcalf has had, a couple of big 80-meter breaks for tries and setting up boys from decent distances. So those are the turning points that I think in game is changing a lot of things. And I'm now looking at it where it's like, all right, even with the side we have this year, we can challenge for something. Like we can push a side to the brink, and maybe if all the cards fall where they may, we may end up in a grand final in our transitional year. Like who would have thought that to start the season? So I think, this game definitely looked like the transitional piece to say, hey guys, we're more than just a around the mid pack sort of side. We are a side that's going to be contending the next couple of years.
Yeah, I believe it in terms of the intentional part. The us doing our part is trying to get a top 4 finish or trying to get a top 2, get a home semi. But there's a lot of luck that goes into it too. Let's be honest, maybe we need a Melbourne to be knocked out by the Raiders or something. And then, there's things that kind of, you still got to say, look, things need to fall our way. But for what I feel is in terms of intent and what, we're able and capable of doing is going for that home final, pushing for a top 4 and going one further if we can. And the belief I see in the players, and it's a renewed belief, because you see the older guys like Catewell, Roger are performing at near on really good levels for their age, comparatively. Then you got youth that are just not afraid of anyone. Laban's pushing people around. Dimitri doesn't care. He's throwing short balls to fair. They're bringing that renewed energy. And I just think that's a really good balance to have, bro. You have balance of youth, experience, and even like a new kind of young house pairing that's kind of fresh, not so set in their ways, open to new ideas. When I look at CHT and Metcalf, I see just not overly structured, got a structure, but still leaning on their natural skills and talents.
Agreed.
And exploring new ideas within the structure, which is, bro, absolutely amazing. So, I'm kind of in that space, and I just feel real confident, man. You guys got any more thoughts on this one?
Yeah, to cap on that too, when was the last time that we've had, from the system that we built, we got Barnett to a state of origin, and we all can agree if he wasn't injured right now, he'd be in a state of origin jersey for the Blues. Now we got Kurt Catewell, turning back the clock and getting back into a Queensland jersey. 2 years in a row, he's been in the Queensland jersey under our system, and now there's even talks of, if Reece Robson went down, Wade Egan was in talks for being a number 9 for the Blues this year to take over Reece Robson's spot. Or, I'm hearing Andrew Johns, not just talking about Isaiah Katoa being a future number 7 for the New South Wales Blues, but he's now bringing up the conversation of Luke Metcalf after his first season at number 7 in the NRL for being in contention for a 7 jersey for the Blues down the track. When was there ever a time in a Warriors, for the Warriors to have that? We've only had Jacob Lilliman as a Queensland, Potter off the bench every so often or whatever, or, Ryan Hoffman coming over from the Melbourne Storm and had the potential of a New South Wales Blues jersey in that. That was the last time I remember, us having that cattle in the bank, especially for the Australian viewers out there that only worry about state of origin as credentials for players. Now we look even deeper to credentials of international players with James Fisher-Harris, what he's done on the international stage, and Chance has done on the international stage. Roger's been the Daily M Player of the Year. The cattle's there too. When I look at the size of the top 4 right now, when we're stamping our authority, like, you know, can we take a new level? I still think we got so more gears in the repertoire. You know, I think players are still getting back into their game. Like, we still haven't seen Dallin back to his full potential just yet. I think that he's still working his way back into finding his way. You know, Rogers starting to really wind up a little bit more now, but I still think there's a little bit more to Rogers' game that will come. You know, it's just, I feel like there's a lot, there's another step we can take here. And I think that's what makes us a little bit more of a threat than maybe some other sides in the competition that are really pushing their potential right now.
Yeah. Do you feel that, Josh, I just want to, maybe if you can talk a little bit like in context to the actual NRL, is that top four starting to cement itself and separate itself from the rest of the comp? And yeah, can you see us in that mix where it's like we're actually competing above, like Rose, shout out to Rose. I asked Rose, do you think we're legit for top two, top four? And he's like, well, we are the Sharks technically in the ladder right now. What are they, fifth or sixth? We smashed them. So that kind of tells you there's a little bit of a gap. Do you agree with that, or what's your thoughts around the comp, where we sit within the context of the comp?
Yeah, I think the gap's 4 points now or something between fourth and fifth or something like that. And like, we did everyone a favor on the weekend smashing the Sharks to, you know, put us as a top four clear. But I think we are a typified top four team, you know. Like, when you think of top four teams in the past, you think of, like, you know, gritty teams and teams that grind out wins, the teams that, you know, find a way to win when everything is going against them, you know, and that's what we've been able to do this year. Like, I look back at Magic Round, you know, like that second half where we were just able to hang on and somehow come out with the win. Like, we don't do that last year, you know. We don't do that, and I don't even think we do that in 2023. You know, that's what this team is, and I think our 2023 team again was a bit like, you know, like that lightning in a bottle. It was everything was going well, and we managed to make it into the top four. And, you know, it was more like the other teams weren't as great, you know, weren't as good as we were, which is why we were there, you know. And so I think, like, this year where we're actually stamping our authority and saying, hey, look, you know, we are in this top four because we deserve it. And, like, I think the only team, and I know we've lost to the Raiders twice, but the only team I'm scared of in this top four is the Storm.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm, and I don't want this to come back and bite me, but I don't think I'm that scared of the Bulldogs.
Look, I said I said we landed on the moon, pretty much. So if anyone's gonna hit, it's gonna come to me. They're gonna clip me up. So you're fine, bro.
Bro, they'll just clip this whole podcast and say. But yeah, no, I think the way we are performing is so sustainable for finals football. It is what you would see in the finals, and the fact that we see it now, and we see us being able to do that in round 10 and round 11, round 12, you know, like building up even, you know, through, and then having two great performances in the last 2 weeks. Like, that is what we will do in the finals as well. It's not like we have to change our style of football when we get there. We're a top four team, and I, like, at the moment, I'm on, you know, grand final or bust, really. Like, not winning it, but getting in. You know, like, I'll say, like, it'll be disappointing if we don't have, like, a prelim where we, you know, either win or, like, are good and then lose closely. Like, if what happened to us in 2023 happens to us again in the prelim, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, that team. Like, remember that prelim? Everyone was like, "Bro, we can't shut down offloads. You know, these teams are too physical for it." Like, it was kind of, yeah. That I think this team's kind of on a different. It's gearing towards a different. It can defend. I think it can defend under pressure more than. Would you say that, Ash? It can defend under pressure more than previous years.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, you know, going back to that Sharks game, right? Like, I think, like, one of the biggest standouts, you know, Chance in that game, not just for his, like, attacking effort, obviously, like, you know, running for the amount of meters he runs for at the moment, which is, you know, consistently holding up that high standard, but, the amount of try-saving efforts that were happening over the weekend as well.
Oh, that's
You know,
mean.
last-ditch effort, especially on our try line. Like, you know, the Sharkies had a decent chunk of ball in our try line, and we withstood them. You know, and obviously, you know, the Sharkies at the moment, they're looking a little bit imbalanced. They had a lot of troubles with like who's the chief on the field, who's going to get into the points. But I feel like we pushed them to that position as well. Like, you know, there's a lot of teams that have crumbled under that. The Melbourne Storm crumbled under that. They beat the Melbourne Storm a couple of weeks ago. You know, in decent fashion. You know, and we did that to a team that a lot of people had contending this year. So obviously, for me in general, just very, very happy to see that we've gotten to a point now of like we can withstand a lot of pressure. You know, the boys are digging in. You know, guys like Fish, bro, that he's just brought the dark arts we kind of touched on just before we jumped on, right? He's just brought this added like mongrel to the side, and then like the young boys are feeding off the back of it, and we just look like a team that sucks to play against, and that's what I've always wanted as a Warriors fan, you know, and that's really like what I enjoy about the side that we got there. It's just it looks like it sucks to play against the Warriors right now.
Yeah, Josh, I just want to ask you about like, you know, the talent that's coming through. We've always had talent come through, but that talent has either been raw talent, undeveloped talent. I was super impressed to see those boys play on Saturday, and you can tell they've been coached. Like they've been coached and developed properly, and taught how to defend, taught how to, you know, play patient footy. They offloaded with the right times. That, you know, how have we changed that, man? Because, you know, I've always loved our, you know, our talent coming through, the, you know, the Solomon Akatas and the you know, all of those boys, but they, you know, they were raw. They weren't quite the finished product. But what we're getting now is like a level of quality that's ready to go, literally. What do you make that down to, bro? Yeah, what's your thoughts around the current crop that we've got?
To me, like the way we implemented our system from day dot when we got there, right? And we said we're playing this style of football, this is how we're going to play, and these are the players we're looking for. And so, you know, we lost Zion Mai'u, you know, who, you know, some people were like, man, like that was the worst decision that we could have made, you know, but
I was one. Yep.
The players that we have kept are players that can buy in, that can do the job, and that are ready to just slot into how Webby wants to coach. And the way that Webby is coaching is going down to New South Wales Cup, going down to Jersey Flag, to, you know, SG Ball, to Mats, all the way down, and feeding into the local, you know, the local comps as well. And so these young kids coming in, they've played the Warrior way for 2-3 years now, you know, even go, you know, and the kids that will come through will play the Warriors way for 4, 5, 6 years, you know. And so when people say, oh, you know, Webby needs to go after we lose, you know, 30 points to 8 in Vegas,
yep,
you know, and after we have a tough year last year, they aren't understanding the systems that have been implemented and what has been done. And so when we see Leka do the things that he does, when we see Jacob Laban stand up to Kale Iro and, you know, say, no, you're not going to push me down, you know, and Dimitrik, like the silky, you know, putting Fish through a hole and then being there for Luke to score one of his own. Like when we see that, it's not surprising. It's not something where we go, oh man, like he played incredible, you know, like, wow, it's the standard. And it's the standard that's been drilled into them from day dot. So we don't get a Solomon Ikata not passing the ball to Manu Vatuvai to score. We don't get a Conrad Hurrell, you know, scoring 2 tries but dropping 9 balls. You know, we don't get that anymore. And yeah, I mean, we get polished players. We get players that are ready to play NRL.
Yeah, we're at a point now.
You can pick the other ones. Sorry, just quickly. You could pick, like, you got a variety of choices where you can, like, I just don't have Solomon Akata and Conrad Hurrell. I've got like options. But yeah, go.
Yeah, and we're at a point now, like, you know, where all Webby's decisions in those sort of sense of like players he's like kept in the lineup and doing those little things, and, you know, the players that he's dropped back the cup and they've been working on things and they've jumped back up and they've proven all these things right to where like, well, there was always these questions around why are we doing what we're doing, like why is this happening, why, I was like, this is why this is happening. Like, you know, he's getting these kids to do these little things that a lot of people aren't really noticing. But when they learn these things and jump back up into first grade, they're hitting at another level on top of that, right? Like the first time we saw Jacob Laban, the impact was great and everyone saw the potential in him, you know, but there was still a couple of little rough patches that people, oh, okay, all right, yep, drop back down. The performance over the weekend when he started that game, man, like the shots he was pulling off, you know, the defensive movements he was in, like he was unreal. And like, you know, it just shows that all of the little things that Webby's like, hey, this is what we're working on. This is what we're going to work towards. This is what gets you back into our jersey if you just work on it and get there. And like, he's been proven right in every single time. I don't remember a decision Webby's really made at the moment to where it's going to be like, well, you know, I don't agree with it, but and it's not gone right. Like, honestly, I really don't. And I argue anyone to really even give out a name. I don't see anyone that's gone away that I've looked at and gone, yeah, that's a massive loss. Like, why did we not, you know?
Yeah, Josh, you got something? Yep.
Oh, no. I was just thinking, like, even like our young boys, they're still in cup, right? You know, we've got like Edemir Toyava, who is still like plying his trade. He's getting there. He's almost to the point where, you know, he can crack first grade. You've got Toby Crosby coming through. Tanner just cracked first grade, a few weeks ago, and he's been mean. You know, these guys that are coming through, they aren't, you know, that flash in the pan and we never see them again because they're actually not that good. You know, these guys, they have the humility to, when they get to first grade, go, actually, I'm you know, like when I go back down to cup, it's not, oh, okay, I'm in cup now, I can just play, you know, I can beat these guys because it's easy. They're actually like, hey, look, we're gonna work on what we need to work on. We're gonna play the way we need to play so that we can get into this first team.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's massive, boys. Let's just go. Let's